Have you ever held back your words, swallowing them down even when you knew, deep in your gut, they needed to be spoken? Maybe you told yourself, "It's not worth it," or "I'll just let it slide this time." Perhaps you've convinced yourself you're being the mature one, choosing silence as proof of your strength and patience. But what if I told you that each time you choose silence over truth, each time you stifle your voice, you're slowly betraying yourself? What if the very act you believe makes you mature and wise is quietly eroding the very foundation of your freedom? We grow up learning that good people avoid trouble. Good people don't argue. Good people are polite, quiet, and always careful not to upset others. Society hands us a comforting lie. That silence equals wisdom, peace equals virtue, and conflict is the mark of immaturity. We're taught that strength means smiling even when you're hurting, nodding even when you disagree, and quietly absorbing disrespect instead of risking confrontation. But behind this carefully constructed mask of politeness lies something far darker, far more dangerous than you might imagine. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most daring thinkers, saw right through this mask. He saw clearly that beneath our polite smiles and calm nods lives something else entirely. Fear. Pure, powerful fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of losing approval. Fear of standing out or being labeled as difficult or aggressive. Most of all, fear of conflict itself. Nietzsche recognized this fear vividly, not as a sign of maturity or virtue, but as a weakness carefully disguised as strength. He understood that when you run from confrontation, you're not just avoiding trouble, you're running away from your own authenticity. You're sacrificing your real self at the altar of peace, giving up pieces of your truth for acceptance and quiet comfort. But the problem is, conflict never truly disappears. It doesn't evaporate just because you avoid it. Instead, it takes root inside you, sinking its claws deeper with every moment of silence, every swallowed word. It transforms slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed. At first it feels manageable, like you're simply choosing your battles wisely. But eventually, these unspoken battles accumulate, stacking higher and higher until they become heavy, suffocating weights on your chest. They become resentment, frustration, bitterness, feeling trapped by others' expectations. How often have you replayed conversations, regretting your silence, wishing you'd spoken clearly? Each time you avoid conflict, you add another link to the chain holding you back, making true freedom seem further out of reach. But what if you could break these chains? What if confronting conflict, rather than something to fear, could actually be the key to reclaiming your freedom? Nietzsche believed exactly that. He taught that confrontation, handled courageously, could become one of your most powerful tools, a pathway toward true self-discovery, authenticity, and liberation. Conflict doesn't have to be destructive or terrifying. It can be a vital catalyst, the very spark you need to awaken a life you've only dreamed about. If you're tired of hiding, tired of burying your truth, tired of feeling trapped behind a mask of false peace, then stay with me. Together, we're going to explore Nietzsche's profound and life-changing insights into the true meaning of conflict, the hidden cost of silence, and how facing what scares you most could finally set you free. By understanding this, you will not only reclaim your voice, but also reclaim your strength, dignity, and most importantly, your authenticity. Imagine a life where you're no longer afraid to speak your truth, no longer controlled by fear of conflict. What could that mean for your relationships, your career, your self-esteem, your entire future? Are you ready to uncover why you've learned to fear conflict, and more importantly, how you can overcome this fear to finally step into the life you deserve? Let's begin. Have you ever wondered where this deep-seated fear of conflict really comes from? To fully understand why confrontation makes you uneasy, why your heart races at the thought of standing your ground, we need to explore a powerful idea Nietzsche introduced, something he called slave morality. It might sound intense, but stay with me, because it explains more about your own behavior than you might think. Picture a time far back in human history, an era when life was starkly different from today. Back then, the rules were simple and clear-cut. Strength was power. Boldness was celebrated. Warriors didn't apologize for their courage or confidence. They openly claimed their desires, proudly stood firm, and lived fearlessly. Their morality, their code for living, was straightforward. Courage, strength, and assertiveness were virtues. There was no shame in openly seeking what you wanted, in standing tall, or in boldly defending your place in the world. But what about everyone else? Those who weren't strong, who lacked power or courage? Those who couldn't compete directly in this aggressive world? Did they simply accept their fate, quietly disappearing into the shadows? They found another way. Unable to win the game directly, they changed the rules entirely. They cleverly flipped the system on its head, turning traditional virtues upside down. Strength was no longer something to admire. It became arrogance. Boldness wasn't bravery, it was aggression. Confidence wasn't self-assurance, it was selfishness. Instead, new values emerged: obedience, quietness, submission. These were now considered noble, virtuous, and good. Instead of strength, meekness became praiseworthy. Rather than boldness, silence became a virtue. Submission was no longer weakness, it was humility. At first glance, these new rules might appear compassionate, kind, and even admirable. But Nietzsche saw something deeper beneath the surface. He revealed an uncomfortable truth. This wasn't genuine virtue at all. It was weakness disguised as morality, fear masquerading as kindness. Think carefully about your own upbringing. Since childhood, you've been conditioned by these inverted values, trained to believe that the quieter you are, the better you are. How often were you praised for not causing trouble, for being easy to get along with, for quietly accepting things you didn't agree with? You've learned from parents, teachers, friends, and society itself that goodness equals quietness, that staying silent means being mature and wise. But what if that's completely backward? What if, every time you avoid confrontation to be good, you're actually following an ancient pattern, one designed by people who felt powerless, fearful, and weak? Every instance where you stay quiet when your inner voice is screaming to speak up reinforces this old morality. Each moment you swallow your truth to maintain peace, each time you back down from confrontation, you're unknowingly reinforcing this hidden weakness, deepening the chains that hold you captive. Without realizing it, you've been trapped by a morality that rewards silence and submission over authenticity and strength. And the worst part is, you might even feel good about it, thinking you're mature or wise, completely unaware that you've been conditioned to accept weakness as virtue. But here's the crucial part. Understanding this doesn't condemn you. It liberates you. Recognizing slave morality is your first step towards reclaiming your voice, your dignity, and your true inner strength. Awareness is power, and now that you see this clearly, you can begin rewriting the story you've been told your entire life. This realization is not just intellectual, it's deeply personal and incredibly empowering. It means you're ready to finally confront the lies you've internalized, to break free from a morality that no longer serves your true self. But if avoiding conflict feels comfortable or safe, why is it so damaging? What exactly happens inside you each time you swallow your truth? Could something darker, something poisonous, be growing quietly beneath the surface every time you choose silence? Keep watching, because next, we're going deeper. You'll discover exactly how your avoidance of conflict doesn't just rob you of your voice. It slowly fills you with resentment, a silent poison that can hold you hostage if left unaddressed. Have you ever felt that slow-burning anger simmering quietly within you long after you chose silence over confrontation? Nietzsche called this hidden poison ressentiment, a deeply powerful emotion that quietly takes root when your natural desire to stand up for yourself is suppressed. Resentment isn't just ordinary anger. It's anger turned inward, a slow and relentless corrosion of your own peace, strength, and confidence. Imagine this clearly. Someone crosses your boundaries, insults your dignity, disrespects you openly. In that instant, your instinct tells you to push back, to defend yourself, to reclaim your dignity. But you don't. Instead, you swallow the words, choke back your anger, and pretend everything's fine. You tell yourself it's the mature thing to do, that you're stronger, better, wiser for staying quiet. But are you really? Here's the unsettling truth. Your emotions don't just disappear because you ignore them. When you suppress anger, it doesn't vanish into thin air. It sinks deep within your psyche, spreading its toxic roots silently beneath the surface of your mind. At first, it might seem harmless. After all, isn't avoiding arguments a sign of maturity and self-control? You start crafting stories, reassuring yourself that your silence proves your superiority. You're better than the person who wronged you, more patient, more virtuous. It feels comforting, even satisfying, to convince yourself you're above confrontation. But beneath that comforting illusion is a powerful lie, one that slowly erodes your true sense of self. Each time you swallow your words, each moment of suppressed anger piles onto the last, building pressure inside you like a volcano waiting to erupt. Bitterness begins to creep into your thoughts, coloring your relationships, influencing how you view yourself and others. You replay conversations endlessly in your mind, imagining all the things you wish you'd said, all the responses you held back. Soon, what started as simple politeness transforms into quiet, internal torment. Your silence breeds resentment, and this resentment, unaddressed, starts defining your identity. You become someone who quietly seethes, who smiles outwardly but suffers inwardly, who accepts mistreatment as normal and justified. This isn't strength, it's surrender. Over time, each avoided conflict weakens you a little more. Your inner voice fades into a whisper. Your confidence begins to erode. Each missed opportunity to assert yourself makes the next confrontation feel even more intimidating. Soon, you're trapped in a cycle of passive unhappiness, controlled not by external forces, but by your own fear of speaking up. Resentment no longer just lives inside you. It controls you. You feel powerless, bitter, and stuck. Your sense of worth, your emotional freedom, and your authentic voice are all slowly slipping away. Is this really how you want to live your life? But here's the good news, the powerful truth Nietzsche discovered. You don't have to remain trapped. Resentment might be strong, but there's an even stronger force inside you, waiting quietly, patiently, for you to wake it up. Nietzsche called it the will to power, an innate strength and energy every human carries deep within. This isn't power over others. It's the power to reclaim your voice, your dignity, and your authentic self. It's the power to stand firm, to speak boldly, to assert your truth without guilt or fear. Imagine what your life could be if you unleashed this strength. Imagine feeling free to speak clearly, honestly, confidently. Imagine no longer being haunted by resentment or bitterness because you finally learned to honor your own voice. Are you ready to break free from resentment's suffocating grip? Ready to awaken the powerful energy hidden inside you and reclaim your life? If you're tired of living in the shadows of unspoken anger, then join me as we dive deeper into Nietzsche's transformative insight, the will to power. Together, we'll uncover how you can finally tap into your inner strength, shed your fear of confrontation, and step boldly into the life you truly deserve. The journey won't always be easy, but I promise you, it'll change everything. Why do some people seem fearless, strong, unafraid to speak their truth, even when it's uncomfortable? Nietzsche called this inner drive the will to power, but he didn't mean power as control over others. He was talking about something deeper, more profound, more personal, an instinctive urge every living thing carries inside itself. The will to power isn't dominance. It's your deep-rooted desire to grow, expand, and express who you truly are without holding back. It's your drive to be real, authentic, and unapologetically yourself. Imagine, for a moment, a tiny seed buried deep beneath the earth. The soil around it is hard, dark, heavy. To break free, that seed must push upward, fighting through layers of dirt, gravel, and rock, driven by an unstoppable force inside. Eventually, after overcoming countless obstacles, the seed emerges into the sunlight, stretching skyward, becoming a mighty tree. This is the will to power in action. Your own inner strength to overcome obstacles, speak your truth, and grow into your full potential. But here's the problem. Society doesn't always celebrate that strength. Often, it actively discourages it. From childhood, you're taught subtle yet powerful lessons. Don't stand out too much. Don't assert yourself too strongly. Don't speak too boldly. You're taught to label assertiveness as arrogance, directness as selfishness, strength as aggression. You learn, slowly but steadily, to silence the very force meant to free you. You start believing that speaking your truth is risky or wrong, that standing your ground makes you selfish or difficult. Gradually, without even realizing it, you suppress your own will to power. But this force doesn't simply vanish because you ignore it. It weakens you from the inside, quietly fueling your anxiety, hesitation, and fear. Every conflict you avoid, every boundary you fail to set, every honest truth you swallow slowly drains your inner strength. Soon, you find yourself hesitating in even minor confrontations, fearful of being misunderstood or rejected. The world seems intimidating, dangerous, threatening. Conflict no longer feels natural or manageable. It feels terrifying. Your authentic voice, once strong and clear, shrinks into a whisper. Reclaiming your will to power means reclaiming your voice, your boundaries, and ultimately your true self. It means rediscovering the courage to express openly who you genuinely are, without apologies or guilt. It means seeing conflict not as a destructive force to be avoided, but as a vital tool for growth and transformation. Conflict, handled authentically and honestly, can sharpen your character, strengthen your relationships, and clarify your purpose. When you learn to face disagreements openly, you're not weakening connections. You're deepening them, building trust and respect on a foundation of real honesty. How can you start reclaiming this powerful inner drive? Begin small. Practice setting clear boundaries with confidence. Start saying no to things that don't align with your values or needs, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Speak honestly, even if your voice shakes or your palms sweat. Every small confrontation you courageously embrace is like building muscle. The more you do it, the stronger and more confident you'll become. Over time, conflict will no longer frighten you. Instead, it'll become something you handle with clarity, calmness, and genuine self-assurance. Next, we'll delve deeper into what Nietzsche called one of the brightest metaphors in philosophy, the metamorphosis of the spirit, from the camel to the lion, and ultimately to the child. We uncover precisely how to navigate this powerful transformation and finally become the authentic self. How reclaiming authenticity isn't just about feeling better. It's about finally living life on one's own terms, fully, bravely, and without regret. What if the key to overcoming your fear of conflict isn't about simply changing your habits, but about fundamentally transforming yourself from within? Nietzsche didn't just offer ideas. He offered a map for profound inner change, a journey he called the 3 transformations. If you're truly tired of living under the weight of others' expectations, if you're ready to shed your fear and step boldly into authenticity, this is the path you've been searching for. The first stage of Nietzsche's inner journey is symbolized by the camel. Think about a camel for a moment. It carries heavy loads across endless deserts, patiently enduring the scorching sun and biting winds. It accepts whatever weight is placed upon its back without complaint, believing endurance and obedience define its very purpose. In your life, this camel is you right now. It's you accepting burdens placed upon your shoulders by family, friends, co-workers, or society itself. You've learned, slowly, unconsciously, to carry others' expectations as though they were your own. You accept unfair treatment quietly, believing that silence, patience, and quiet submission prove your strength and maturity. Like the camel, you've grown strong in your ability to carry these burdens, but it's a strength born from resignation, not freedom. Beneath your patience lies quiet suffering, and beneath your obedience is silent resentment. Yet the camel stage can't last forever. Eventually, the weight becomes unbearable. The burdens you carry begin crushing you, making every step harder, every breath heavier. You grow tired, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually exhausted. Something inside you starts to awaken, a quiet rebellion, a voice whispering, "This isn't right. There must be another way." This is the critical turning point, the moment you begin transforming from the camel into Nietzsche's second stage, the lion. The lion is a powerful symbol of courage, independence, and rebellion. Unlike the camel, the lion refuses to carry burdens silently. It doesn't quietly accept unfairness or bow down before external expectations. Instead, the lion rises up boldly, fiercely reclaiming its freedom. It bravely and unapologetically says no to anything holding it back. No to unfair treatment. No to suffocating social expectations. No to fear-based morality. The lion refuses to live a life dictated by others. It doesn't accept external pressure as virtue. It sees clearly that true strength lies in asserting oneself, not in silent endurance. The lion embodies your courage to stand up, speak clearly, and reclaim your life from fear. Yet, Nietzsche cautioned, even the lion's courage isn't the final destination. Fighting against others' expectations is powerful and necessary, but true liberation goes deeper. Once you've reclaimed your freedom, once you've bravely shed the burdens and learned to assert yourself, there comes a moment when you must transform again. This third and ultimate stage is represented by the child. Picture the energy, joy, creativity, and freedom of a child, fearless, spontaneous, living effortlessly in the present moment. The child isn't weighed down by the past or anxious about the future. It simply lives openly, honestly, authentically. At this stage, you're no longer defined by reacting against external pressure or rebellion. Instead, you create your own values, your own rules, and your own meaning. You face conflicts confidently, knowing they're simply opportunities to grow, to live genuinely, and to shape your life by your own authentic desires. The child symbolizes the ultimate freedom, a life lived entirely from your true inner self, liberated from fear and fully embracing your authenticity. Of course, this transformative journey isn't easy. Moving from camel to lion, and finally to child, demands tremendous courage, honesty, and inner strength. It means confronting deeply held fears, enduring uncertainty, and stepping boldly into the unknown. But the reward for this courage is priceless. Real, genuine freedom. Freedom from the expectations of others. Freedom from resentment and bitterness. Freedom to live joyfully, creatively, and authentically, exactly as you were meant to. Nietzsche famously wrote, "Become who you are." But beneath the simplicity of these words lies a profound challenge. The philosopher understood something crucial. The authentic self isn't discovered by chance or hidden somewhere waiting to be stumbled upon. It's actively created through deliberate, courageous choices. Every decision made, every path taken, every role embraced either brings a person closer to or pushes them further from who they truly are. Far too often, these choices are shaped not by internal truths, but by external expectations. Paths are followed because they're safe, predictable, and socially approved, even if they quietly erode a person's true essence. Truths are swallowed down, unspoken, to maintain peace, harmony, and acceptance. But each suppressed truth, every compromise made for the comfort of others, quietly distances a person from their genuine self. Nietzsche believed that avoiding conflict isn't merely a passive act, it's actively destructive. Conflict isn't just an inconvenience or disturbance, it's an essential element in the formation of authenticity. Like a refining fire, conflict tests character, beliefs, values, and desires, burning away the masks and pretenses adopted to please others. When conflicts arise, they aren't meaningless arguments to be swiftly avoided or suppressed. Instead, they're opportunities to clarify identity, to discover precisely what matters most deeply. They provide the chance to confront fears, articulate truths, and affirm values openly, directly, and courageously. Without conflict, authenticity becomes impossible, buried beneath layers of accommodation, conformity, and silent compromise. Yet confronting conflict openly demands profound courage. It requires a willingness to withstand discomfort, judgment, and even rejection. Authenticity is costly. It doesn't guarantee approval, acceptance, or applause. But it offers something infinitely more valuable: integrity and freedom. Each confrontation bravely faced becomes a building block of genuine selfhood, each difficult conversation a milestone toward true clarity. Gradually, authenticity grows stronger, richer, more vivid. Fear begins to fade, replaced by a powerful sense of inner confidence and calm. Life no longer feels like performance or pretense, but rather a reflection of true inner beliefs and desires. Nietzsche's authenticity isn't a comfortable or easy destination. It's a lifelong journey, challenging yet deeply rewarding. However, before reaching this authenticity, there remains one final, crucial truth Nietzsche insists everyone must face: the steep price of silence. Silence isn't neutral, passive, or harmless. Silence actively participates in its own oppression, reinforcing the chains of conformity and fear. What seems like peaceful quiet can actually reinforce systems of control, perpetuating personal and social injustice. Silence doesn't protect, it imprisons. The next chapter will delve deeply into understanding exactly how silence contributes to oppression and why breaking free from this silence is the final, essential step toward authentic liberation. This understanding can fundamentally shift lives, illuminating the true cost of avoiding conflict and highlighting the immense transformative power of honest confrontation. Silence is often perceived as safety, a comforting shelter from potential harm, confrontation, or rejection. It promises ease, tranquility, and an illusion of peace. But beneath this reassuring surface, silence conceals a profound cost. Every moment silence is chosen over truth. A subtle yet powerful message is conveyed. A quiet permission slip handed to the world, allowing others to define boundaries, set expectations, and shape reality. Each instance of unspoken truth doesn't simply vanish. It creates space for deception, distortion, and misunderstanding to flourish. Unaddressed disrespect isn't forgotten. It accumulates, quietly poisoning relationships and eroding self-respect. Nietzsche grasped this deeply. He recognized that silence in the presence of injustice or mistreatment isn't neutrality or wisdom. It's active complicity in one's own oppression. Choosing silence doesn't protect dignity. It slowly dismantles it. By refusing to speak clearly, assertively, and courageously, the silence becomes a betrayal, not only of deeply held values and beliefs, but of personal identity itself. It transforms individuals from empowered actors into passive spectators in their own lives, subtly reinforcing cycles of disrespect, mistreatment, and powerlessness. The world notices quickly those who consistently refuse to assert themselves. Such individuals often become magnets for further disrespect and boundary violations, not out of deliberate cruelty, but because silence has taught others what is acceptable. Every suppressed truth adds another layer of resentment and bitterness, creating internal barriers and slowly dimming the vitality necessary to lead an authentic life. Real courage doesn't mean never feeling afraid. It means acknowledging fear, yet choosing authenticity anyway. It involves consciously selecting integrity over superficial comfort, dignity over artificial harmony. Courageous living isn't about the absence of discomfort, but the willingness to endure temporary unease to preserve something infinitely more valuable: authenticity, self-respect, and inner freedom. Each courageous choice to face conflict, each decisive step toward authenticity, reshapes identity into something vibrant, honest, and truly alive. The pivotal question to reflect upon in moments of hesitation isn't complicated, yet it's profoundly transformative. Is silence wisdom, or simply masked fear? Reflecting honestly on this distinction can radically alter one's entire perspective, reshaping interactions, relationships, and even personal self-image. Within each individual lies powerful symbolism: the lion ready to assert its dignity, and the child eager to build a creative, authentic, joyful life. Yet neither can awaken unless silence is courageously broken. Freedom, authenticity, and genuine joy await just beyond the threshold of silence. They're available not through passivity, but through honest, courageous expression. Moving forward requires more than a momentary realization. It demands ongoing bravery. This conversation serves as a powerful starting point, but true transformation unfolds gradually, through continuous decisions to embrace necessary conflicts and honest conversations. True freedom never grows in silence. It blossoms from courageously spoken truth. If this resonates, write in the comments, "I refuse to let silence define me." Now it's time to continue this journey of self-discovery. Click on one of the suggested videos on screen to deepen this transformation even further. Thank you for being a part of Mosaic Mind.